Welcome to the Antisocial Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. This week, I'll cut right to the chase, is a good friend, Mick Jeffery. Mick, for those who aren't aware, is the guitarist in Aversions Crown and also Australian band Widow the Sea. I took some time to have a chat to him on his first day off of 2016. Mick's been really busy touring Europe and also doing some Australian touring here as well with soil work. Aversions Crown just released a new single, and his other band, Widow the Sea, just released a new album in early December. So lots to talk about. We mainly talk about Europe and the logistics and sort of the approaches that they've taken with touring over there. They've been over quite a bit over the last 12 to 18 months. So a lot of time invested on their behalf to try and make it to the next level in Europe. And also talk about his other band, Widow the Sea, and how that's going and what they've been doing, and just touch on, just in general, just juggling it all and trying to continue to push the whole thing along. So really interesting for those that are playing in bands themselves and those that are interested in touring Europe. It's not an easy thing, but I think once you get the momentum behind you, it can become a lot easier and a lot more feasible financially as well, because I think anybody, especially who lives in Australia, it's not easy to at least get it started to begin with. There's a lot of upfront money invested, but once you're there and you're regularly touring and doing it the right way, and there's one really great point that we both touch on when it comes to touring in other parts of the world and touring in general, and I'll let Mick sort of touch on that in the conversation itself. So I'll put all the links to all of the Aversions Crown and Widow the Sea music and material and whatever in the show notes on antisocial.net, and you guys can check it out, and hopefully you guys dig it, and by all means reach out to Mick as well and let him know what you think, or if you got any questions for him, or if you want to get any of his bands to play in your area, you can hit him up, because he seems to be the touring guy. So anyway, enough rambling. Hope you enjoy this conversation with Mick.
Hey dude, how you going?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Yeah, good man.
Very good. Did you get your sleep in?
Yeah, I did. I needed it. Finally.
Well, I can't remember what you said yesterday, but how many days has it been since you've had a day off?
Yeah, this is actually between work and the band and everything. It's my first day off for 2016. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, congrats.
Thank you.
A big part of what I was going to talk to you about is a lot of the Europe stuff, because
cool.
You've only just got back, and I think I think the tour started in early January, so pretty much for 4 or 5 weeks you're over there?
Yeah, it was 27 shows over there. So 27 shows in 27 days. I think the first show was maybe the 8th of January. So yeah, we left Australia on the 4th just to get over there and have a day or two just to acclimatise and get all the back lines sorted and all that sort of stuff before the tour kicked off. And then, yeah, it's full steam ahead for next month, really.
And is this like the second or third time in probably, 12, 18 months that you guys have been over there? Or cause you've been over a couple of times just recently.
Yeah, this is the third time in 12 months. So
wow.
And the band's been over once before, probably about another 12 months before that, and that was before I was in the band as well. So
yeah.
Fourth time for the band, but third time in about 12 months.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
There's not too many bands doing that at the moment. I think most bands tend to go over and then they come back and lick their wounds financially for probably a couple of years before they're able to do it again. So there's only a few bands now that are able to sort of
absolutely
keep doing it. So kudos to you guys. Sure. Yeah. Is it
thanks, man.
Is it something that, because I didn't realise there's 27 shows in 27 days. Do you think did you guys have a similar format the last couple of times you went over as well? With no days off?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty much how it has seemed to run for us every other time. This is the longest stretch we've had. I think the other ones were 23 and 20 shows, so this one's a little bit longer. But yeah, we haven't seemed to have any days off when we've been over there, which is, you know, it's kind of a good thing, I guess, especially financially. You know, when you're over there, if you have a day off, the band's not generating any income, and you know, you don't get a rider. You know, so you miss out on food, and you can't sell any merch and all that sort of stuff. So I guess financially it makes sense to sort of, you know, just keep the ball rolling if possible. And yeah, just with the, you know, the length of a lot of the drives over there, most of them aren't too bad. So it's, you know, it's not like when you tour Australia and you literally have, you know, 9 or 10 hours between the capital cities, which is what most bands do when they tour. They, you know, it's not a lot of bands can sort of pull off playing a lot of regional shows. So most bands sort of just hit the capital cities, and you know, you're stuck with a, you know, 9 or 10 hour drive in between each gig.
Yeah.
Whereas over there, you might only have 2 or 3 hours on some days, or even less. And there's a few big ones, but most of the time it doesn't seem too bad. And the way we've had it, we've always had a driver for us. So, you know, it sort of takes the pressure off us a bit too.
Yeah, cool. It's an interesting perspective on the income side of things, because I know there's a few other bands that go over there and do sort of a month of touring, and they have a couple of days off here and there, and I guess they sort of, especially for bands that it's their first time over, they tend to get excited about it. But I guess for you guys, now that you've done a few times, especially, it's probably even more crucial that you don't have very many days off, if any at all, just to ensure that the whole thing keeps moving. And you guys have, I mean, the last thing you want to do is have a day off where you all have to walk around and occupy yourselves, keep yourselves amused, and start spending your own money, especially being away from home where you've got jobs and whatever else trying to fund your day-to-day habits.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's exactly what happens when you do have a day off. You just sort of end up just spending money just because you're in another place, and you know, there's plenty of exciting stuff, and which is cool. You know, like, it's good to be able to do that as well. But you know, the reality of the situation is that we're over there to do the band and do the tours, and we want it to be, you know, an ongoing thing. It's a bit more than just going over there for a bit of fun with your mates. It's us trying to establish ourselves as a touring band over there, and to do that we have to kind of, you know, be a bit smart with how we plan things out, and you know, how we spend our money and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, as much as we'd love to just be able to have a bit more time off to go and see stuff, we're better off sort of getting over there and working and trying to, you know, build the band up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And you mentioned the bus situation. Is that sort of like because you guys are headlining this tour, weren't you?
Yeah, this was our first headline tour. So the other times the band's been over, it's been supporting. So the first time was, the first 2 times we went over were opening slots. Then the next time we went over was a main support, and then this time was a headline slot. So yeah, it's kind of just slowly been growing enough to, you know, for us to feel confident in having a crack at headlining over there, which actually ended up going pretty well for us considering. So, but yeah, with the bus thing, most of the times we've been over, we've done like a big Sprinter Mercedes van, which you hire with a driver. It's got 9 or 10 seats in it, so enough for the band, plus your sound guy and your driver and that sort of thing. And they generally have just a little bunk bed up the back, which you can sleep a couple of people on and just take turns while you're doing the drives. But it's not something that you can live in. It's just, you know, that's just to get you and your gear around between the gigs, really.
Yeah, yeah.
But we did do one tour with Art, middle of last year, where we did go on one of those big nightliner buses, which literally sleeps and everything. So it's but that sort of thing, without you need to fill that whole bus up, otherwise it's just way too expensive. So without a full tour package on board for that, you know, it's just not financially feasible.
Yeah, definitely. Because the band Harlot from Melbourne just did a big tour with Annihilator through Europe, and they had that sort of deal where they paid a lump sum up front, and that covered all their expenses with regards to the bus and the fuel and everything. So they didn't have to worry about it once they were over there, but they paid a premium to get onto it. But that also filled out I think it was one of the other support bands and some of the Annihilator guys as well were on that bus. So it was well and truly packed with people. So I guess it kept the costs down reasonably, but I think they still had to pay a fair chunk of money just to get onto that. So I guess the smaller option might not be as glamorous, but it certainly gets the job done and keeps the costs down.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the convenience of the bus is it's pretty hard to beat. Just the fact that everyone's there on time at the same time, all your gear's there. You don't have to worry about finding accommodation and all that sort of stuff because you've always got your bed. But obviously it does cost a little bit more to have that luxury. So it's it depends on what you can afford to do and all that sort of stuff as well. So,
well, with the Sprinter thing, what would you guys do? What's a typical day where you guys play the gig and then you pack up, and would you drive straight to the next city or town straight away, or would you try and park somewhere and try and find somewhere to crash out, or crash out at the venue for a couple of hours? What would be the typical sort of turnaround in a day?
Yeah, so the typical after the gig situation, now that we're the headline band on this tour, accommodation was provided for us for between 90% of the shows, cool. which could vary from venues which have accommodation built within the venue, so they might have sort of dorm rooms with bunk beds and all that sort of stuff, or they might have private accommodation with either the promoter or one of their friends, will have a house you can stay at. And other times, you'll get a hotel or a hostel room, which, varied from sort of maybe about a quarter of a star through to nearly, 4 or 5 stars. A couple of them were pretty epic. So, yeah.
I guess you would have had some interesting surprises along the way, especially if you didn't know really in advance, or not have a clear idea of what you're going to get yourself into each night, if as far as these arrangements for accommodation were concerned.
Absolutely, yeah. And for this tour as well, I kind of got lumped with the job of tour manager just purely because no one else, we didn't have anyone to do it. We'd normally have a sound engineer who doubles up as a tour manager over there, but all of the guys we normally would use were unavailable, so we took an Aussie mate over, and I just kind of got stuck with that job, which, sort of meant all the accommodation and all that sort of fell on my shoulders to make sure it was all sorted and that. So a few times, we had some surprises along the way, and there was a night where we were told we had a private accommodation, someone's house to stay at with beds for, there was 9 of us, and all that sort of stuff. And by the time we get back to the place, it's about 2 a.m. after we've loaded out and all that, and get back there, and it's a tiny little flat. There's one, little shoebox room for us with no beds and just 2 couches, and that was it for 9 people. And so, we're literally sleeping on the floor on top of each other. It was pretty horrible. I don't think anyone got any sleep that night. But you just don't know until you get there.
There's no dodgy hosts or anything like that where you sort of felt a bit concerned for your safety at all, or it was more just a case of just questionable comfort issues?
Yeah, definitely no safety issues. Like everyone over there is pretty kind, and as I said, most of the time we were pretty well looked after. There was just a few times where it was, it could have been a miscommunication issue and that sort of thing, but just what we were expecting was not what we got. And then, at the end of the day, all we really need is something to sleep on and a shower, and as long as we get that, that's fine. But yeah, all the hosts we had were, really accommodating, and especially the private accommodation, people who literally just, welcomed us into their home, and some of them had, kids and families and stuff there that they kind of had to, work around to let us stay there and stuff, which was, that's pretty amazing for them to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Just, is there plans to get back over there relatively soon, or is it sort of still on the drawing board for the time being?
We want to get back there, as soon as we can afford it, and that we're basically just setting a bit of time aside now to finish off the next album. And then, once that's done, we'll definitely be looking to get back over there sort of second half of the year, if possible. Nothing booked at the moment. There was a few of the summer festivals have been in touch wanting us to, to play, but it's kind of a bit short notice to make a full run out of that sort of time frame where it just wouldn't really be worth our while to go over just to do a couple of those shows. So, we're hoping to sort of head back sort of after the festival season's over and then try and jump on some festivals for 2017 if we're lucky enough to be asked back again. So
yeah, for sure. It's interesting with the festival thing and so that summer period over there, because for years I used to think, oh, that's the ticket. That's when you go over and you play a festival or two. But everything else in Europe in summer's dead. Everyone travels to festivals and that's it. But as far as club shows go, the club shows is absolutely dead. No one goes to them because everyone's traveling and going to these big festivals and throwing all their money into it. Everyone's going away for holiday and whatnot. And
exactly.
And really the time to tour over there is to do the sort of beginning and towards the end of the year outside of that summer holiday seasons when people are working and back at home and can come out to a local show and see bands playing. That seems to be where a majority of those tours are happening. So I think unless you're a big label, popular band that can pretty much do every festival on that festival circuit, it's probably not really financially viable for the majority of bands, especially bands from where we're from, to go over there and have the glory of playing in front of a lot of people on one day for probably 20 minutes and pay 10, 12 grand in flights to get over there just to do something like that. And we've done that before just to hoping that we can get a foot in the door. But I think in hindsight, it's probably a lot smarter to try and get in there, even if you're playing every, toilet in Europe, but at least there's people rocking up to see you play in these little shoe boxes, and it's definitely probably a smarter move at least to get established over there before you start gunning for the bigger things.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, like what we just did, we just played 27 club shows, which, meant that you can play every night of the week. And, people were turning up, Monday, Tuesday nights where, maybe in Australia that's, it's a bit harder to pull crowds on weeknights and stuff, but over there it doesn't seem to make as much of a difference as it maybe does back here. So, whereas if you're going over to the festivals, you probably find you're just playing, like I'd assume the festivals are just over the weekend, so you'd probably have to fill up your weeks with, trying to maybe fit in some club shows, which, may struggle because of exactly what you were just saying. So, yeah, unless you're sort of one of those bands that's lucky enough to get on a bunch of different festivals, it's probably a bit hard to make a go of it over there and just go over and just play a couple of them. So
yeah, definitely. Were there, at least on this tour anyway, is concerned, are there particular areas of Europe that are a lot better for you guys than others? Are there, give me the best and the worst as far as location goes at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Germany's been pretty solid every time we go over there. We can sort of play. We played a few different cities that we'd never been to in Germany this time, and I think just about every show over there was great. We had one or two sold out shows over there. I don't know, the venues kind of vary in Germany. Some of them are really sort of punk, DIY kind of venues that are just run by local dudes, right through to some, pretty nice clubs and that sort of stuff. So, you never really know what you're in for in terms of the venue, but the crowds always are really good over there. The fans are pretty loyal, and like I said, it doesn't really matter what weekday you're playing, people still come out, and you quite often find that people will make the effort to come to multiple shows. So they might drive 2 hours to come see you again, and then another hour to see you again the next night, and you start seeing a few familiar faces.
Yeah, that's cool.
At a few different cities, which is pretty cool. But the UK's going pretty good as well. Like we played 2 sold out shows in the UK, and one in London, which is pretty crazy because of so much stuff would just come through that city. And for people to sort of take the time out to come watch our show out of all the other ones that go on a daily basis through there was pretty cool. And but different countries over there are places like the Netherlands and Switzerland. They sort of seem to have a lot more government funding towards the arts and music and that sort of stuff. So their venues are really top notch, and they can sort of have these brand spanking new venues and amazing catering and all this stuff for you. And a lot of people turn up to the shows, and everyone that works there are volunteers that, you know, just take time out of their day to, you know, to cook for the bands and all that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, certain countries definitely seem to have a lot more emphasis on, you know, creative arts and performing arts than, you know, what you sometimes see back home, I guess. And
well, you definitely see back home.
Yeah.
unless you're in Melbourne, pretty much the rest of the country is pretty starved for arts and culture in general. It's
Absolutely.
yeah. But anyway, I mean, I won't go down a rabbit hole on that because I did that with someone else the other day, and we ended up speaking for about 3 hours, and it just got out of control.
Oh yeah, you could talk about that forever.
Absolutely. Was there anywhere that you guys at the moment in Europe are concerned, and anywhere you touched on this tour where it was quiet, or something where you definitely look at and you go, oh, you know, we need to work a lot harder in this particular area more so than, say, like Germany's going, there's always room for improvement and you want to make your crowds bigger and bigger. Yeah. But are there particular countries where you look at it and go, this is definitely somewhere that we need to focus a bit more on, or we probably could do a lot better, you know, just to get more awareness in a particular part of Europe?
Yeah, I don't know. I think everywhere's sort of, you know, there were a few shows that were a bit quieter than others. But we played, I think the ones that were quieter seemed to be places we hadn't actually been before.
Okay.
We played 2 shows in Austria, and one of the 2 was a place we hadn't been before, and that was, you know, a bit of a quieter show. You know, not as many people turned out, but it was a smaller venue, and everyone that was there had a good time. So it still ended up being a lot of fun. But then, you know, the next night we played in Vienna, which we'd played a few times before, and we had a really good crowd there. So yeah, it's a bit hard to tell. And then other places we've played before, and it was a lot more people than the previous time, and then other times there might be less people than the last time we were there. So yeah, it's a bit hard to tell. But no, overall it seems that from doing 3 tours in 12 months, it definitely feels like, you know, the crowds are growing and there's more people there coming to see us or coming to see us again, and so it definitely feels like it is growing. So yeah, that's obviously cool. the whole thing, you know, there's plenty of room for improvement and all that, but you know, it is a good feeling to see that it is, you know, slowly and steadily growing a bit, and not, you know, to be pretty tough to go back down. It's, you know, half as many people as the last time and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, pretty lucky that it, you know, at this point anyway, it seems like it is still growing over there.
Yeah, well, I mean, apart from the obvious of having decent music that people are actually going to like, I think it's a pretty simple formula as far as gaining a fan base, and it's just being consistent with touring and playing shows. And it's an old school approach, but it works. And you look at all the bands, at least Aussie bands, that are doing really well at the moment, they're all bands that just tour as much as they possibly can. And whether that be up and down Australia and touring Australia over and over again, or, you know, doing multiple tours in Europe or the US or whatever, and they're the guys that are gaining more traction because they're out there playing in front of people, as opposed to somebody who might tour every so often and you don't have that consistency, but then complain that they're not getting the exposure that they're after. So I mean, it's pretty grueling to be away so often and playing, but obviously if you love it, then it doesn't matter as much. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's where you'll definitely be able to continue to see that upwards trend where you can see your fan base growing bigger and bigger because you're just getting out there in simple terms.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah, like you said, all the bands that are touring non-stop seem to be just, you know, continually growing. And, you know, a band like King Parrot, like, they're just really extreme sort of underground music, but just from flogging it out for so many times around Australia and now around the world, that, you know, the profile just keeps growing and growing for such an extreme sort of band. It's pretty awesome to see them doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then obviously there's a lot of the other bands that are maybe a bit more accessible, like your Parkway Drives and Amity Afflictions and all those sort of things that, you know, they've achieved a lot of success, but, you know, it comes down to just the years they've spent on the road getting there. Especially even back home here. I mean, those guys especially, where, you
you get a lot of guys from the metal scene who complain that everyone likes sort of hardcore metalcore music and doesn't like any of the other styles of metal, but those were the bands that just toured every dingy youth hall across the country and chucked everything into a little U-Haul and drove up and down and slept in the car as they were driving around and didn't have a shower for a week or whatever it might be, and absolutely slummed it. But they played to all the kids, and as we all know, everyone's pretty impressionable when they're in their teens. They can't go out to a show because they're underage. So when there is something catering for them, they come out. And if the cool kids come out, then it just flows on from there, and they buy all the merch because they've got their parents' money. And and then once they turn 18, then you've got this legion of fans that come out to see you play at pubs and clubs, and it just builds and builds and builds. And, regardless of, a lot of guys sort of pay out on that sort of scene and genre and whatever, but you know what? I mean, you got to give credit where it's due, and those guys just slog it out big time, and that's why they're so big. And I mean, I really dig Amity and Parkway and a lot of these other guys that, they're musically, I really dig them, but their work ethic is just incredible. It's just so good. And but it's a simple concept, and they've just decided to put the hard yards in instead of trying to be sneaky or cut corners or try and do a few other things to avoid the hard work. They've worked it out. There's a formula, so just get out there and play.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And especially after the last 2 years or whatever of being in a band that does a lot more touring, I have so much more respect for all those other bands that have been doing it for such a long time and just keep doing it and have put in all the work and just keep putting it in. So yeah, sort of the more you do, the more you appreciate all those other guys that have done it before and are starting up now. And yeah, it's a lot of respect to all those guys that are out there doing it now.
Yeah, definitely. And how have you been in Aversions now?
Since about July 2014, so 18 months, or getting closer to 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll touch on Widow of the Sea as well, because the new album for that came out December, is that right?
Yeah, early December.
December. What's been... Because when you joined Aversions, I just assumed that either you'd left Widow of the Sea or Widow of the Sea just didn't exist anymore, because I hadn't heard a great deal from you guys for a little bit. And but then started to see a few things start to pop up last year leading up to the album. So what's been the balance between the two bands for you? I mean, I think you've been kind of lucky because Widow of the Sea's been somewhat quiet overall, well, definitely in comparison to Aversions. But
absolutely.
Yeah, what's the balance been like between the bands, and even moving forward now, what's the plan with Widow of the Sea and how that incorporates with what you're investing time-wise into the other band?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have been real busy with the Aversions thing, but even prior to that, I think, other members in Widow of the Sea have had, as you know, and everyone knows, that plenty of other stuff going on in your life, which makes it hard to commit to music sometimes. So it kind of, has been at that point where other guys have had, other commitments and whatever that have sort of slowed the band down a bit, which kind of happened right at the time when I did join Aversions anyway. So, for me personally, I was still busy doing music, and I've always kept myself as busy as I can with whatever musical project I've got going on. And but now that I'm back from this tour, and we don't have any gigs in the too near of the future, just working on the album stuff. I'd love to try and get some stuff happening with Widow of the Sea, and hopefully, even just some local stuff to, do some gigs again now that the album's been released finally and all that. So, that's probably next little thing on my list, is to try and get some stuff happening there, even just on a local level, sort of, Brisbane, Gold Coast area.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
For sure. And is it more so you that's sort of behind a lot of the organising for Widow of the Sea to sort of keep moving it forward from from promoting it and trying to get gigs going and all that sort of stuff? Is it more so not to put you on the spot to boost your ego? But,
no.
Yeah.
No, it's and it's not an ego thing. It's just it's one of those things that I really care about the band and the music, and I always want to just do as much as I can for it. And it's, I guess, like in anything, there's always going to be some people, or, one or two people that are going to put in more effort than other people. So you just sort of, I always put in as much as I can into everything I'm doing musically, I guess. And yeah, it's, at the moment I've just sort of had to put a lot of time into the Aversions thing, which it's been good, because it is, you feel like your time's rewarded with results and that sort of stuff. So yeah, so that's good. But Widow of the Sea is a band that I started with the other guys years ago, and a lot of love for that band and the music, and I definitely want to keep it going and do as much as we can, with what we've got time wise, and yeah, definitely do something with it.
Yeah, for sure. Did you because the album's only just been out for a couple of months now, 2 or 3 months. Especially with you being in Europe, did you use any of those opportunities being there to pass around sort of anything to do with Widow of the Sea, or promoting it or anything like that? Or,
oh, absolutely, yeah, of course, yeah. And any chance you can get to promote any of your stuff, like cross promotion, to both ways. But definitely, any chance I get to promote that album, and I'll take it, of course. And especially, with a lot of people, in coming to Aversion shows that would never have heard of it before. It's a good platform to to sort of even just mentioning it to people when they come up and have a chat to you after the gig and stuff, and they want to know what else you do, and you can tell them, oh well, I've got this other band that I've been doing, you got to check it out. And so a lot of times people will come to an Aversions gig, and it's a good chance to tell them about another band I do, and for them to check it out.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I'll put a bunch of links up so people can check out both bands, and it's the new single. Is it Erebus?
Yeah, Erebus. Yeah.
Oh, Erebus.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's how you say it. Yeah.
I heard the worst pronunciation skills on the planet. I swear to God,
Oh man, I'm terrible.
I can't pronounce anything for the life of me. But yeah, so
neither can I.
So you got the new single out.
Yeah, new single Erebus. I think we put it out. It was when we were overseas, so we had it all recorded and stuff. We had to sort of to make sure we had it all tracked and ready to go before we left for Europe. And then we got the mix and all that done while we were over there, and then released it during the tour. So we it's been out for maybe just over a month now, I think. But it was great. Even as soon as we put it out over there, a lot of people were straight onto it and were responding well at the shows and that sort of stuff. Even the first night we played it, it had been online for 2 or 3 hours, and people were already singing the words and stuff. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it seems to be getting pretty good response for what it is. So
how did you guys release it? Is it just like an iTunes release, or a digital release of the single?
Yeah, that's all it is. So it's on all the digital platforms, and it's just on YouTube and all that sort of stuff too, just with a lyric video. But it's just through iTunes and Spotify and all your digital platforms.
Yeah, cool. I'll put a link, and I'll chuck the lyric video up there as well, so people can check it out. And Widow of the Sea, because there was a lyric video you guys did for Widow of the Sea as well.
We've done. Yeah, it's a little while ago now. We did a lyric video, and before that a film clip.
Yeah, I remember the film clip as well.
Going back a little bit. Yeah. So they've both a couple of tracks off the album as well. So
yeah, cool. I'll chuck them out. Awesome.
Hell yeah, thanks, man.
No worries. And I won't touch too much on it, but just to make a mention, just to add to your heavy schedule, you guys did Europe, and then you came straight back, flew into Perth, and then you did an Australian tour with Soilwork. Yeah. So we had I think 2 or 3 days of no shows in Munich at the end, just to sort of chill out, and everyone was sort of pretty run down and sick by then, so we didn't really do that much. We just basically had a couple of days to just sleep and catch up on a bit of rest, and then flew into Perth, and so we flew out of German winter into 45-degree Australian summer, and started a run with Soilwork, which was really good. It's one of those tours where I guess we were definitely sort of the odd one out playing with a band like that, and
they've been around for a long time, and it's still in the same ballpark musically, I guess, but the sort of I guess the fans are quite different. So we sort of did it to hopefully expand the horizons of a lot of people who would come to see Soilwork and would not have heard of our band before. So
yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of people who wouldn't have heard of us before, I think they hopefully enjoyed the performance and might check us out again next time, which is the aim of that sort of thing. But it was definitely going from playing headline shows where obviously people, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are there to watch our band, and then going to play shows where no one's heard of you, which is, it's fine and it's great, but it's just a totally different sort of vibe.
Yeah. And
you feel like you've got to work that little bit harder to try and win the fans over, and which is good. It kind of just keeps you hungry and wanting to play harder and all that stuff to impress people that just literally a lot of people, they don't care who's supporting, they just want to watch Soilwork, which is totally fine, and just trying to make them go, oh, hang on, who's this? And
that's it. It's a bit of hustle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's we've done a few where we play with somebody who just doesn't even fit in, like not even remotely musically with us, and it's, I think there's been a couple of little sort of mini Aussie sort of metal fests where the majority of the lineup's been more extreme metal, and we get on, we're sort of smack bang in the middle and start playing this sort of melodic power metal or whatever we're playing, and and you can just see people in the crowd sort of going, what? But totally. I love it. I reckon it's great, and I love it.
Oh, me too.
I love it when people start to smirk and go, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I love the ones who just really scrunch up their face and you can tell they're hating it. I love that even more. I love that even more. I start prancing around even more on stage and making sure I look like I enjoyed myself even more so because they're hating it. It's the best. But sometimes, those things are usually sort of great breakthrough opportunities for a band. We've done things like that, and guys have come up and just said, oh, I would never pay money to come and see you guys. Like, I would never do it. Not my scene whatsoever, but I'll actually come out and see you guys now because that was really cool. So it's just, it's getting them in their own neck of the woods instead of trying to get them to come and pay a door charge to come and see you play, when a lot of, unfortunately, with probably a lot of music, is all the stereotypes, and everyone wants to be seen to be in a particular genre, and depending on what you wear and how you look and who you talk to and associate with. But some people probably, it wouldn't be cool for them to rock up to a gig that's probably predominantly melodic metal as opposed to maybe extreme metal. So
totally.
you got to win those scene warriors over.
Yeah, that's the hardest bit. But if you can do it, then that's when you sort of start making it, I guess. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's where you really have to sort of put the work in to try and, because there's always going to be fans of every little subgenre of metal, and it's trying to break through that barrier. And that's where bands like Parkway Drive, like when I first saw them, like 2004, and they're playing to just their mates at the youth centre, and now I went on that last Aussie tour they did, and they're playing to like families, like. There's mum and dad got the kids there, all of them wearing Parkway merch, and it's just totally just, gone past all expectations of genres, and it's just become this thing now, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And maybe to touch on the Parkway thing, I was thinking the other day, if there was ever going to be an award given to somebody who, or an Australian musician who's driven the most kilometres across Australia, I think you'd probably win that award. Because with regards to the Parkway tour, because you went and helped out with merch.
Yeah, for Die Hard, who was a support band on the tour, I went and just sort of did the driving and merch duties for them, and did not every show, but all the main ones. So I didn't do Perth or Hobart, but all the other shows, which did involve a hell of a lot of driving. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people who don't do a lot of touring probably don't realise is the amount of driving that gets done. Where the first show I did for that tour was Adelaide, and I live on the Gold Coast, and so it was a matter of me going to Brisbane to pick up the van and then driving it to Adelaide to be there for the gig, which is even without stopping, it's close to a 30-hour drive. So, and that's just to start the thing. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and actually the last show we did on this soil work tour, we finished on the Tuesday night in Melbourne, packed up, loaded the van up, and left Melbourne about 11 p.m. to drive home to Queensland, and I got home about 8 p.m. to the Gold Coast, and the other guys, probably closer to 10 p.m. back to Brisbane. So, that's almost 24 hours straight driving just to get home. And especially the last 2 years, I've put a lot of Ks on the road, and over in Europe as well, you're driving every single day. Some days, you're doing 900 Ks. Other days it might only be 200 or 300, but they add up, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And is it a case that with some of that longer haul driving that you guys would just have a rotational thing, like someone drives every couple of hours or every few hours and then sort of swaps over? How would you guys normally sort of handle it?
Yeah, that's exactly how we do it, especially those overnight drives, those sort of full day 24-hour ones where it's it's very dangerous, obviously, driving for that long. So we kind of we're all pretty sensible about it, and we don't really plan out who's going to drive when or anything like that. We just sort of see who's feeling up to it at the time and make sure we're all as rested as we can before each drive. And so try and plan your nights beforehand when you have a big drive coming up, and trying to make sure you do get that sleep in before it, so you can pull off those big drives. But often we'll just see who's feeling good at the end of the gig, and they'll start driving, and we'll take turns sleeping in the back, and as soon as you feel tired, pull over and see who's up for it. And so it's pretty full on, but
absolutely,
there's not really any other way around it.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, just because I didn't realise with soil work that you guys were doing the van thing as well. Did you guys fly from Perth over to Adelaide or over to the East Coast?
Yeah,
you did that. You didn't do that drive.
No, God, no. Nah, even I wouldn't do that one. But we flew to Perth, then flew to Adelaide, and then flew back to Brisbane from there. So we just drove Sydney and Melbourne. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, so we got up, drove to Sydney, and then drove straight to Melbourne, and then drove straight home. So we drove from Brisbane to Melbourne and back, playing 2 gigs over 3 days. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, it is crazy. I just I still see that there are some people out there that are crazy enough to do the drive between Perth and Adelaide across the Nullarbor, and it's just, I think I definitely understand, and I understand with you guys and your approach with touring, and definitely cutting down the costs and whatnot of flying everywhere. I mean, we fly everywhere, but we don't tour enough that it's probably worth sort of doing a lot of driving anyway. But I think there's some areas where you just got to pay the extra money and do the flights and from Perth to anywhere else in the country, you certainly need to fly in, fly out. But there are some people that throw themselves into a van and drive the. I don't even know what the drive is, but it's something ridiculous. I think it's a similar sort of. Well, actually, I don't even know. I think it's at least 30 odd hours to get across there. It could be even more.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah,
probably more than that. Yeah. I've never done that drive, and hopefully never have to do that one. But it's a long way, and that's just for one gig often. So
that's it. It's not worth it for one. If you had like 10, 15 different opportunities over on the West Coast, then maybe it could be half feasible. Or if you had something sort of along the way that so you weren't having just that straight stretch of driving, then it would make a bit more sense. But no, it's just way too isolated. And I just think I just think of Wolf Creek or something like that will end up breaking down somewhere and end up getting skinned.
Definitely, that'll exactly what'll happen.
Oh, cool.
I definitely think about that every time I do that Adelaide to Brisbane drive or the other way around, and you're just trying to find one of those petrol stations and the red light flashing, and you're just freaking out, and Wolf Creek's all you think about, and it's not good.
Well, we did last year. We drove from Perth to Kalgoorlie and back, so we just played one show in Kalgoorlie just for something to do, and it was about a 7-hour drive each way. And I can't remember whether we were going or coming back or whatnot, but we were overtaking this van, and there's this old 20-year-old Hilux, a high ace van, and just really, really slow. So we had like a coaster bus with the trailer on it. So started to rev up and I'm getting past it and we all look over and there's this really, really sus, frail old guy driving the van and the van's covered in pictures of dogs and kittens but really faded old stickers. There's no business advertising or anything like that. It was just like this guy really liked puppies and kittens and put these had these stickers on there that are well and truly faded. So they've been on there for years and he's just chugging along by himself on this highway with no signs of civilization around at all. I just thought, I wonder what that guy's story is. Or maybe I don't want to know.
That's kind of like terrifying.
Yeah, that's right. Especially out there in the middle of nowhere. I just keep thinking, imagine if we broke down a few kilometres up the road and then he came past and he pulled over. Yeah. And I just thought, thank God we're in numbers here. There's a few of us, so there's only one of him. But yeah, it's it can get a bit crazy out there for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
So, look, I'm going to put a bunch of the links up to the music and everything like that and a few of the other things we're talking about so people can check it out and whatever, do a bit of promo for you guys. And I thought I'd end our chat on this occasion on something that it probably wasn't intentional. Well, it definitely wasn't intentional to be funny, but I see it popping up every once in a while and I crack up because I don't understand the context or where it came about. But I see pictures of you in various modelling advertisements and things like advertisements and whatever else. Can you give me a bit of a rundown or give me some context behind these things? Because look, I'll admit you're an attractive looking guy, so obviously you're making money from whoring off your looks, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Where did it all come about, and what is it all about?
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know. It kind of just the first time it really happened was just I work at a glamorous place called Blockbuster Video on the Gold Coast, and a customer came in and just sort of put the word on me and just said, look, would you be interested in some paid work, getting some photos taken? And I was thinking, oh shit, what do I have to take off? But it ended up being for like a legit company, a skincare company and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I've done a bit of ongoing work with them, and I just sort of went in and had a bunch of sort of bit of a pro photo shoot sort of thing, I guess, which is pretty weird. I've never done anything like that before, and all of a sudden, there's flyers going around everywhere and posters and stuff with me on it, and it's pretty funny. And I mean, part of me did it to earn a few bucks, but most of it was to give all the boys a bit of a laugh, I think. So I knew that all, and that definitely happened.
Oh, for sure.
But, there's definitely, I don't know, it's never been me sort of seeking out any of those sort of jobs or opportunities. They've just kind of come my way, and I'm sort of, I can always see the humour in those sort of things, and I'm not afraid of, taking the piss out of myself a bit. So I'm definitely always going to say yes to those sort of things when they come up, if I reckon everyone's going to get a bit of a kick out of it.
Oh, that's it. And a couple of extra bucks on the side doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Does it pay all right? What you've done already? Is it?
Yeah, a few things have paid not too bad actually. And like I said, it's not something I've sort of chased. So if I was to sort of, if you were to sort of chase it, you'd probably be able to earn some money. But if someone just sort of says, "I'll give you a few $100 if you do this," I'm not really going to bargain with them or anything. I'm just going to either say yes or no. So
yeah.
But I mean, it's only been a couple of times it's happened, but it's definitely been a good little help.
Oh, absolutely.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Oh well, I thought I'd end it on a high note there.
That's classic. There's probably a few more photos I'm still waiting to surface that haven't seen the light of day yet.
Oh right, okay. So just every time I think the first time it popped up, I went, "What the hell's this?" And I thought it was actually just a joke that you'd actually just put together, and then I realised it was actually something serious. And then I started seeing other ones pop up, and I just crack up every time I see something surface every once in a while. It's great, but it's so good. It's just, oh man, power to you, man. If you get an opportunity like that, I think anybody would probably snap up an opportunity to make a few easy bucks. So yeah, good stuff.
Oh, exactly right. Yeah, and as I said, I'm not too afraid of people getting a laugh out of me. So yeah,
oh, cool,
I don't take myself too seriously at all.
That's awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Your day
we'll
off,
do.
and I'll let you know when it's up, and we'll we'll probably catch up later in the year anyway when you got some more news and more things happening, because no doubt you guys are going to be busy regardless and doing the album and whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I just saw you guys got a new drummer as well, so hopefully some more touring.
Oh, shit. We finally got there. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, for sure. We'll be doing quite a bit this year, so we just gotta get our finger out now. There's no more excuses.
No, that's right.
Cool, man. Oh, I'll take care, and we'll speak soon.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, catch up.
See you, mate.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. All the links to all the music for Aversions Crown and Widow the Sea will be in the show notes. The single and lyric videos and video clips and everything will be there as well. I'll try and make sure that there's plenty of information on there for anybody who's interested in touring Europe. And I'll put Mick's details on there as well. So by all means, reach out to him and pick his brain. I've had a few people on the podcast now that have been lucky enough to get over to Europe and do some decent touring over there. So there's lots of resources that are starting to build up now for you guys that are interested in making that leap and getting over there. But Mick's definitely one of those people that you can have a chat to who's, 3 times in 12 months is pretty impressive. So he's well and truly a great person to have a chat to and pick his brain. Bit of housekeeping, andysocial.net and Facebook. You can find me, just search for my name or Andy Social Podcast. You can find me on all the usual social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Just type in Andy Dowling, or the Lord stuff's all Lord Official or lord.net.au. You can use the code word AndySocial on our Lord web store, where you get 10% off anything and everything. And that's there indefinitely for you guys. So no rush, but anytime you guys buy something, definitely makes life a lot easier for us to keep moving the band forward as well. So use that code word at checkout. So it's just Andy Social, one word altogether. We've got all the Dungeon Lord CDs. We've got all the Lord T-shirts on there. We've got silly little things like drink holders and hip flasks and bottle openers and all that sort of stuff. We've got posters. We've also got CDs from Arnie, who was on the podcast. We've also got some bands from India that we've stocked a few of their titles, so you can check them out, some really cool music. And I'll also put the shout out there for anybody who is interested in putting any of their merch on our website as well. I'm really keen on extending the Lord online store and making it a lot more varied in as far as, supporting other artists and having more options for you guys to buy cool things. So I won't just put anybody up there, so heads up in advance, but I'm more than open to talk to people and see what they've got and whether there's an opportunity there or whether it makes sense to do something together. But very much open and interested in extending the store to more than just us itself. But that's for another conversation later on. And that's it. There's heaps of stuff coming up. I'm smashing through the podcast at the moment. Damien, our trusty audio podcast editor, is off overseas for a few weeks. So I've been hustling big time to get all the interviews all up and running and shooting them over to him so he can edit them all up. So massive thanks to Damien for really busting his balls to get these out for me. So you have seen some slight delays with some of the podcasts as of late, but over the period of March, you'll definitely see them starting to ramp up big time. So massive thanks to Damien, and a massive thanks to everybody who's willing to take an hour out of their time to have a chat to me as well. It's very cool. So and if you want to help in any way, share the podcast around, share the episodes. I put them all up on YouTube as well. So if it's easier for you guys to share a YouTube link, then definitely do so. Otherwise, share the link from my website, andysocial.net. Get on iTunes, rate and review, share them on Facebook. Just anything that shows some interaction will highlight not only the podcast and help me, but it'll also highlight the guests that appear on the podcast as well. And it's the least I can do for them investing some time to chat to me. So help me help them. And it'll also open the doors for more people to to be featured on the show as well. So your help, a couple of clicks and a spare few minutes will go a long way for me. But anyway, thanks so much for spending the time to listen, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye. You're ready, social.